Hi there, and welcome to week 1 with Lucy. So we had Lucy a little bit longer than we had Yogi. So the main thing that we worked on, as we talked about, was just staying with me. So the first thing I like to do is tether them either to me or to things near me. So in this case, we are just cooking some stuff. I'm prepping some dog food for another dog. And so just periodically, I'm giving her a portion of her kibble. So her dinner is over to my right. And you can tell I go all over the place. What I'm looking for is anxiety, loss of interest, anything like that. You can tell she's definitely on me. I'm checking to make sure that I can walk all the way around her, which is a skill that I'll need later on for getting her to stay. Movement type things. In this case, getting her to load inside the vehicle. I want her to be comfortable going all around me. You can see the cat shows up and she doesn't care about that. I'm not giving her cookies very often. Obviously this video is sped up. It's about an hour's worth of video. So that gives you an idea for how long that we did this, and the fact that she stayed focused this long was really, really good. I was pretty happy with that. And so here I started giving her cookie and petting her on the head. She doesn't really like being, I don't want to say caught, but basically if you reach for her collar or you try and praise her, praise doesn't have the same value as food. So what we're trying to do is raise the value of the food and the praise to be more equal. That way, if you don't have food on you, she's still willing to work as best that we can. So again, we're just going through this. She's still focused on me. I'm trying to go for a little bit longer time before I give her cookies. Basically, I'm trying to see at what point will she make a mistake, so that way I know what my extremes are on one side or the other. So again, I give her a cookie and I pet her on the head, another cookie and I pet her on the head. And once more, the cookies here are just her dinner. Nothing special. I'm not asking her to do anything super important, so we're not using really great cookies. Again, you can tell my husband's coming in. There is another dog tethered to the right, and they're behaving too. And so every now and then I go over there and give them a cookie, which is why the cat's hanging around periodically. So stuff like this is really good. We like to tether the dogs also in the bedroom. We tether them in the living room to the couches. This just teaches them a place. And if you notice that she's on the carpet, one thing that I like to do if I have the dogs around long enough is I teach them some mat work. So basically, you know, wherever the mat is, they stay on the mat. And so that's a good intermediate between being off leash and being tethered. That way they can look for their mat and they know that that's their place that they stay. And so without her realizing it, we're kind of conditioning her to be on the mat. Most of my dogs like being on the mat because of this reason. It doesn't hurt that we're doing it in the kitchen as well, but it does address issues like counter surfing. Sometimes I get dogs in that want to jump up on the counter there, and I get to address it this way as well and show them what the proper behavior is. So most of this is just feeling out what Lucy wants to do and doesn't want to do. There was a really nice pet. I was able to touch her collar and touch her head with only a small piece of kibble, so I'm happy with that. Again, she's staying focused, and she comes right back right there whenever she decides to check something else out. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how this goes. I mean, we already knew that she was a great house pet, so I'm just checking on the focus. Of course, the story is pretty different when I take the leash off, and we do address that separately in other training sessions. And so, you know, dogs don't have the ability to work forever. We try and keep it to about 5-minute sessions, and we try and do it 2 to 4 times a day, depending on the dog. It's just like any other workout. We need them to build up their mental strength. Here, I really like that she's laying down. She's still with me. She's not distracted, but it does show that she understands what's going on and she's alert enough and ready for me to work. And that's what I look for. I want them to be focused when they need to be focused, and I want them to understand to stay with me even when nothing else is going on. And there I just dropped a cookie. Another thing we've been working on is dropping cookie and saying, get it. Here I finished. We go back to walking around. I pet her and just cleaning up. Some more petting, some more cookies. I'm just trying to finish out her dinner. Good girl. Good girl. And at this point, I'm not saying a whole lot. I'm just saying good girl. I'm just giving her a cookie and saying good girl. I'm trying to condition that phrase is a good phrase as well. Later on, we're going to add in some other words in separate training sessions. So again, she's laying down a lot faster. I like that. She's understanding it's not a big deal, but we do need to hang out together. All right, so one of our focusing sessions, I do have her on leash because, again, if I'm working with her and I don't have her on leash at this point, she just goes and checks out the rest of the house, and you saw that when you came to visit. So here I've just got her on leash. She's very willing to work when I have cookies. So whenever she puts her paws on the ground, I'm just saying yes, and I'm giving her a cookie. When my hand goes up, here I'm saying get it, because I dropped it. When she's focused on me, I'm saying Lucy, and then I'm giving her the cookie. So a lot of things are going on here. I'm loading her name to mean cookies. I'm preventing her from going elsewhere. If you can tell, she's looking for somewhere else to go. She's not afraid, it's just the ability to focus isn't there for her. And here she would rather I don't touch her, she wants to wander off. But she comes right back with the cookies. And so she just needs to learn that if she just stays with me, she gets free cookies. It's very easy. And her little brain is just going back and forth between, I want to run all over the place, but I want to work for you. So we're just trying to dial it in, and that's a big part of what the focus and the engagement is, because once I've got them doing that, it's a big deal. If you notice, I've got my hand cupped right here. I need her to go for my hand. I can't really lure her or get her to do much else if I don't have her understanding where the cookies come from. And so I want her seeking out my hand. Again, cookies are there. She needs to put her nose in there, and that'll pave the way for her to work a little harder later on and try more. And so again, I'm holding her by the collar and petting her so she understands that's what I'd like her to do. So this was Yogi's, I think, second night here. So here he is doing some of his barking because he is excited. He's a happy little guy. He's very, very smart. Again, I have kind of a mat right there that I would like him to be on. And I've had some problems with him eating from my hand. He just is very, very busy. And so I up to the ante. We're dealing with some ham right here. And that's his first time. And he's like, whoa, this is really good. So again, what I'm looking for is that he readily takes the cookies from me, because until he understands that all good things come from me, I can't really add too much on there. I can do some passive things, again, like I have him with the mat. He's backing up on the mat whether he realizes it or not. I'm also using my puppy on my left right here underneath the screen as a distraction. I'm trying to see how reactive they're going to be with each other, and since I'm not asking them to do much aside from eating cookies from me in Yogi's case, and then in my puppy's case, his name is Casey, I'm just asking for a paw touch. Again, he's several weeks ahead of where Yogi is, and so Yogi's job right now is just eat the cookies, get excited about me, but in a controlled way. If you notice he's hopping, I'm waiting until he's not hopping to give him a cookie. There's a lot going on right here, and I'm trying my best to break it down. Here, he's bouncing, I give him a cookie when he stops fighting against it. And Casey's offering his paw, so I'm doing that. And so Yogi's having to learn to wait his turn. He's having to learn to give to the leash right there. He does, so he gets a cookie. He's not very reactive to the cat and other stuff, so I like that. I have a lot to work with immediately. Here he's looking at me, and I like that better, so I give him a little piece for that. And so again, I'm starting to add in cookie and I pet you. And he kind of ducked away, and so this time I'm going to give him a cookie, so he thinks I'm going to give him a cookie. Here, you can see he's kind of pushing away from my hand versus Casey, who's pushing into my hand. And so it doesn't seem like a big difference, but it makes a big difference in your recalls later on, because if the dogs are used to getting the cookie and then bouncing away from you, you can't actually catch them if you need to, and therefore you have issues with like loading in the vehicle, getting in the house, rushing, and all of that. Here I'm seeing if he'll get the cookie down low, so I'm showing him cookies come in different positions. And if you notice, I'm not doing the cupped hand thing, I'm just pointing it at him. Again, I don't want to add too much on here, I'm already doing a lot. So here, cookie petting, he doesn't back away from me until the very end, so here I'm going to do a cookie up and a cookie up again. And he seems to like that, so we're going to do cookie down, and I'm going to pet him. And so that time he doesn't back away, so I just move on and give Casey a cookie for being good. Here Yogi's kind of sitting, he's giving to the leash, and so I'm just picking apart things I like. And I like that he's on the mat, but I don't want to do too much because his little brain, it's hard for him. And so here I'm making him have to wait his turn, which is something he's not super excited about. But he's being good. He's not barking. He's giving to the leash. He only bounced a little bit. He's sitting. He's trying to figure out what makes me work, and basically just waiting patiently is what will make him get some cookies in this case. Good boy. And as you can tell, he's getting a little more settled. Even though he wants to bounce, he's learning to just sit and yield to the leash pressure. And the leash pressure is going to be a big deal for obviously walking. And so there he's barking at me, so I just ignore him, and I give Casey a cookie for not barking. Here, Yogi gets a cookie for not barking again. And so he sat, so he gets a cookie for that. And so this is all just rewarding the behaviors that we want while trying to introduce things that we do want, like going down with the cookie and up. without overloading their brains. So we're starting to wrap it up. I'm waiting to see if he's going to bark on me, and so far he's not. He's being really good. And I tell him he's good, and he gets a cookie. And if you notice, he's not pushing away from me when I go to pet him. He's actually trying to play with my hand, so that's good. And I'm working again with Casey. I'm going to touch him on the head, because he does a similar thing. When you touch him on the head, he wants to back away. So that's the end of our session. So moving forward, we're going to work on Lucy being focused, hopefully moving towards being off leash. Of course, we're starting to get into the point where the dogs decide they don't want to play with us because they want to go and do whatever they want to do with the older dogs. With Yogi, we're just going to keep moving forward and seeing what his strengths and weaknesses are and using those to hopefully move forward with the training while focusing on recalls, crate training, potty training, and his name.